Welcome. Viewing several. This is a this has been a fun episode to do. I'm just doing the intro now. I'm doing a a review of a very cheap set that was bought that's was in appalling condition. I wanted to do something from Hornby Railways, as they were called at the time. So this one is from 1983. It's a pickup goods set. Now the pickup goods sets were were introduced sometime in the early 70s, and then they disappeared. And they came back into the catalogue in like 82, I think, and then this one was the 83, which had this red locomotive. And then after that, they had the Coleman's mustard yellow liveried version of that freelance industrial thing. Well, it's the Holden 101 train set loco 040, and you get some wagons. Now I don't know if this a lot of these, they would come with the plank wagon, but I've got that what looks like some kind of cattle wagon or something. But it does say in the catalogue that, you know, the wagons may vary. So, but this was a very well worn and very well used set, and there was a lot of things to do to get it to even run. But it also reminded me that this era of Hornby set really wasn't very good. In my opinion, I had a set. My first set was a 1974 set, and it was worse than this because it was had a battery box controller. Now, this was available. This one is R550, but there was also an R459, which is exactly the same set, but you didn't get the mains controller. It used to have a thing that they stuck a sticker over this bit saying that it requires, you know, you to get a controller. Now the controller that comes with it is really poor. I think it's one of the early mains ones, and it's just horrible. I did try it, and it doesn't seem to be working very well, so I don't use it in the demonstration because it just isn't. It just seems to be very low voltage. Now I can't even really be bothered to put it on the voltmeter to see what it's putting out, because it's not really serviceable. So really, the point of this is just to sort of look at Hornby from the early 80s. And as I say, for me, I've had some rough sets that are old from the early 60s that were Triang railways, some late 60s Triang Hornby sets, and I have to say, even when they're in very poor condition, they're very serviceable, and much older sets of the old Meccano Hornby. And I have to say that this era of Hornby is just nowhere near the Triang stuff, and yeah, I think it's interesting because it just isn't very good compared to the older stuff, which with a bit of a clean and service will work better. And the you know, so let's have a look anyway. Let's see. There we go. R550. Made in England. It would come with a circle of track, and yeah, so that's that side. Now, also the other thing about this era of Hornby is the box is just not very inspiring. It says the world's finest train sets and blah de blah, but I don't know whether that holds up, because this just isn't a great set. when compared to some of the stuff they made 10, even 20, 25 years before that. So, but interestingly enough, it is from an era when I was still quite young. But so I wanted to review it to just complete the kind of the set of eras. So we'll have a look inside it, and then I'll maybe show some of the things that I did to try and get it running. And yeah, it's a funny episode, this. I'm just kind of doing this while I've got a chance, and it's just not a great set, but I did enjoy playing with it and getting it to work and so on, which is really what I enjoy about picking up these old rough sets and fiddling about with them. So you know, I've had a lot of fun doing it, so that's the main thing. Anyway, let's have a look inside. Right, here we are. This is what you get inside. Now, every single thing I've filmed today has taken me, I've had an issue or a problem, and I've had to start again, and I've had to do loads of takes, and it's still going to be terrible. So this is about take 3 on this. Here we are. So yeah, you get this locomotive. It's your Class 101 Holden, the kind of classic starter locomotive, and this one's in a red livery that says Roger, which I don't know, for some reason reminds me of Roger the alien from American Dad, who's got a voice like Paul Lind, Roger, like that, like the bit like the hooded claw who Paul Lind voiced, which is what they took the inspiration from. So you've got this wagon, which is I've never seen one of these before. It's quite nice. You've got this kind of cattle van, and then you've got this. It's not a plank wagon. I think it's a metal. Yeah. So all of these wagons were detached from the chassis. Some of the couplings were missing. Well, they were broken off, but they were in the box. So the first thing I had to do was the little clips that clip the top of the body onto the chassis were broken. So these have been glued, and this one, they were kind of just burred over, so I had to trim them with a knife and reassemble it. So that was a bit of fun. I don't mind doing that. And we've got the circle, the first radius track, and then there's some extra pieces here. There was even a set of points, but it doesn't fit neatly in here, so I haven't. I've took that out, but there's nowhere else these are going, so I've just left them in there. So yeah, these controllers, I've never seen. I've not had one of these before, and they are pretty terrible. So I did try it, but it doesn't seem to be giving out much voltage. I don't think there's any point in me testing it, because I'm not going to open it up and try and repair it, because it's just not worth it. But it's a novelty to have one, because you know, I've never had one of these. My early set was that horrible battery box. So yeah, these are this era of set. It looks okay, but it hasn't aged that well. This track, I've given it a clean, but it just doesn't go that together very well. You can see there's some broken parts there, but the issue is not the fact that it's steel track. The issue is that trying to get it in the fish plates. I've changed a few of them, but even if it just doesn't go together in a circle. Either one side is not quite connected, and reconnect that and it unconnects the other side. I think if you put all new fish plates on it, it might help, but it's warped as well, so you get a slight banking effect in some places, and then when the train goes over it, it moves. So you'll see that one. I do run it on. I have run it on this very track, so we can see that. So there we are. It's a very simple set. It's from an era that was I don't normally collect, so I wanted to just try one from this era and see what it was like. The box is very uninspiring. There's no good box art. It's just, I think it's a low point considering when you look at the rest of the sets from the 60s, and you know that you feel like you were getting something substantial. And some of the modern sets are not as exciting, but they have improved the box art, and they have you know, they've improved the controllers a bit as well, and so I think this is probably the least good Rovex Triang Hornby set, and I think this era was probably the low point. I still like it, obviously, but there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'll move on to running. I've already done the running, so I've run it on here, and then to show that there's no problem with this, I run it on the one of my track bed loops that I've got. I think it's the Roco one I use, so we'll have a look at that. But really, just getting this whole, it's just been a a bit of a quest to get this filmed, because I've had to re-glue all of these, clean this. I serviced this. It's not too bad, but it did have a lot of fluff wound around the worm drive and the shaft. This doesn't really work well enough. So yeah, there's a lot of things that weren't working, but you know, we still managed to get the train running, and so we'll show that. It's not too bad. It's been fun. Right, well, this was in quite poor condition, so quickly just update. I've just had to rebuild all the wagons. They were all in bits. The coupling had come off this one, so the plastic tabs have been broken that hold these bodies onto the chassis. So I have glued them. So I'm just waiting for them to dry. I split that roof. I might need to look at that roof. But yeah, so they are glued and they seem solid now. So the next thing I've got to tackle is this monstrosity. Look at that. So this is the old thing. So that needs cutting off and re-stripping. I'm going to test it, and but I'm not having a plug like that. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm probably not going to use this controller, but even so, it's something to do, isn't it, to fix it. So I can't leave that like that. That's appalling. So I'm going to sort that first, and then we'll test it and see if it works. And yeah, right, Roger is running again now. He just needed some oil. It's a bit more difficult to open up than some of the other Holdens. It's an older one. When I did open it up, something fell out, and I think it was that half a raw plug, so I've no idea what that was doing in there. It's been a very strange set getting this one sort of working, because there's been a lot of weird things. So I guess it belonged to a kid maybe, and they've enjoyed it, which is always good to see. So I did fix that controller up, but this is on the Gauge Master, because this controller, let's quickly show it, I've not. This is the only one of these I've got. It's these old things, and so I've improved the plug, but yeah, it's not very good. I think I have to conclude that these controllers are dog shit, and that's okay. I wasn't planning on using it, but it's always fun to try and get it working. But I've yet to put it on the multimeter to see what it's outputting, but I'll have a look later. But it's only running. The loco won't run very fast on it, even at full speed, and it's got this horrible control here. It really is terrible. So I might show it in action, and I might show me measuring the voltage. So maybe we'll do that. Are you gonna? Right, so I want to just show it running on this track, and I'm going to explain why most people don't bother trying to use this old first radius steel track. It's not that it's the steel is not the problem, it's that it goes out of shape and it's impossible to get it into a decent loop. Now I could change all the fish plates. I've changed a few of them, but you can see the track's rocking. Obviously not flat here, but that won't matter with decent track. Let's turn it down. So the train's fine. It's the track is a bit shit. So I cleaned it, and it's clean enough. The problem is that it just doesn't, and you try and put it in a loop, and it just doesn't clip together very well. It's pretty piss poor, really. With the advantage of Triang track, the earlier track, I mean this Hornby track is much worse than the Triang track, because Super 4 stays together and stays in shape. System Series 3 has actually got little clips that clip the rails together and make sure you get a good joint between rails. Obviously the old standard track has got the road bed. I've never tried that because I don't have any. But even the Hornby 00 track, the two rail stuff from the 1950s, a lot of that was nickel silver, and I've had better experiences with that than this. Now this track dates is about 40 years old, just over, from 1983, and it just isn't very good. It's like a lot of when I reviewed the sets that are the Jouf ones, that track is very poor as well. So it's working at the moment. I think it would be okay if you nailed it down. That's not too bad now, but if I move it slightly, it's going to probably not work. So I probably will set up the one of the modern loops just to run this train to prove that it's okay. Now you see I've got some issues now going that way, and that's just it's now no longer going to play ball, and just the weight of the train on the track can the joints are not very good, because it just, like you can see, so I can move it here, and you're forever chasing fish plates round. So you fix one and then another one comes loose because it just doesn't go in a proper circle. And there you go. So So yeah, that just demonstrates this old track is not very good to use, and I can imagine, in fact I do know, because I had System 6 track which was older than this when I was a kid, and I had to set it up on my bedroom carpet, and it wasn't very good, and it also had a battery controller. So yeah, I think if you didn't have a proper, put it on a proper board, it may not have worked that well. So I'm going to put this now onto my one of my track bed tracks, either the Roco or the Pico. I think I'll put the Roco on for a change, and we'll run that then. Right, here we are on some modern reliable track. This is my loop of Roco track with track bed. So it's closer in spirit to the track that would have come with this, in that it's a very small radius. It has got a couple of straights, and that's because you need to power it, and the short straight is where the power comes from. So we'll bring it round and pick up this train. Right, let's go. Set her off. This being one of the older ones. This, I mean, it's running okay. There's not a lot you can do to service these. I gave it some lubrication, build a bit of speed, and cleaned out a lot of fluff that was wrapped round the worm gear and drive shaft. As I said, may have said before, these wagons were all in bits, and I've glued them, and they're all right now. It's probably one of the worst condition sets that I've bought, but I'm not complaining, because I like I like mucking about repairing the things. So it probably should have cost like £5 or something maybe, but you know, it was fun. It's a shame. I mean, there may be more I can do to run it on the original track. I might try it on a first radius loop that I've got with my Santa's Express on a new nickel, silver track. I think the problem with the older track is it just gets out of shape, and we've seen that a lot. Doesn't happen with Triang. So this set is let's just go full tilt, because these are pocket rockets. Yeah, it's a little bit fast, side down. So the thing about these sets, it said on the box, the world's greatest train set. In my opinion, this is complete shit compared to Triang Hornby and everything that came before it, not to mention the old Meccano Hornby. So I think this era of the late 70s, early 80s is the worst and the lowest of Hornby. The modern sets are not bad, but there's a lot of problems. I mean, my first Hornby set was 1974 with a battery box, and it was a bit rubbish because of that. But also, as I may have said, you setting it up on the carpet, it's never good. Whereas this sort of track that you get now, you could put that on your carpet and it would be fine. These Holden locomotives, I've got a few of them now, and they are sort of like the classic starter set loco, except that for me they're not, because the for me it's the Ginty and possibly the older industrial 040, because they were the ones that I had, although I was still only 8 or 9 when these came out, or maybe even a bit younger. But I never had one of these. I've got about 5 or 6 of them now. And I quite like them, but let's see if it will run in the other direction without being, yeah. So it runs alright. But when it comes to the, you know, I've reviewed a lot of sets, including much older ones than this, and I've always been able to get them to run, or nearly always. Maybe not the Playcraft track, because that's a bit rubbish, but you know, the Triang Series 3 and System 4 was way better than the stuff that came with this era. And this is actually post System 6. This is like the modern stuff, but I recently found out they were still making steel track well into the 90s with Hornby sets. Now I like first radius sets mainly because I can put them on my desk, and I've got quite a few loops of Hornby first radius, but it's all dreadful, and trying to put it together and keep it in a loop that doesn't keep distorting is very difficult. Like I say, I haven't tried. I'm going to do a review. It's coming up to Christmas, so I will do a review of my Santa Express, which is pretty much similar to this set. Same engine, different livery, and you get a couple of wagons. You get one of them probably, and you know, a non-vented. We get a vent van rather than a cattle van. So yeah, I mean, let's just go a bit faster. Yeah, so overall it's been a fun experiment, but like I say, in my opinion, this era of Hornby is a serious dip compared to all the way back to the early 60s, right through to the end of the 60s. The sets produced were much better, and of course the ones in the 50s and 60s that Meccano did were better than this as well. So it's running alright because it's on this track, but yeah, it doesn't stand up as well. Some of the Triang sets I've got are very filthy, but they're absolutely rescuable, whereas I think the track for this is probably going to be binned. Well, I don't know, but anyway, interesting. But there you go. So sorry, my hand's been going back and forth. I've just been trying to get something filmed for this because it's pretty much everything went wrong. So the wagons needed to be re-glued. The track was a nightmare. The controller was terrible, and I don't even think I can be bothered to connect it up to the voltmeter, because it's just, I'm never going to use it. So I don't know what I'll do with this set. This is one that I may get rid of or break up or something, but it's not much of a set because the track is so poor. But there we go. This one was just really I just wanted to do one of this era just to see what it was like. I don't really collect many of this era, so it's probably the only one I've got from the late 70s, early 80s. Most of my sets are much older and more interesting. So yeah, I just wanted one example, but I'm disappointed I couldn't get the to run on the track because it was first radius. So often when I can't run the track that comes with the set, it's because it's much bigger radius, except in the case of the Playcraft stuff where the track was just terrible and deteriorated beyond usability. But other than that, if the track will fit on here, I like to use the one that come with the set. But well, I've showed you it. It's been on here, so that's good. Anyway, bit of a rambly one. This one, but I've got some better ones coming up. Some better sets. I've got. Let's see what we're going to do next. Probably, I don't know. There's 2 or 3 candidates, but hopefully it'll be something a bit more interesting than this. So anyway, I'll see you in the next one.